I'm going to continue setting up this perspective drawing. I have a few drawings to show you what you can do with this, and I'll post those examples. And I'll just get to work. So I measured out these marks, I set these lines up, I created the diagonal measuring line. I think you can see this in the video. I used that to draw these diagonals, and remember that set up where these lines go. Where this set of lines crosses this set of lines is where I draw in my horizontals. So I'm going to draw in my diagonal lines going down here, and where this line, and then these lines are actually going to go vertical, and you're going to see that grid that I have here is going to repeat on the sidewall here. So I'll just get to work on that. So I lost some of the video of setting this up, so as you get to this it's going to be a jump, but I basically followed the same process to get these lines in here. I did have to draw 2 new diagonal measuring lines here and here, and I basically drew them by drawing a diagonal line through the center, going from the bottom right to the top left corner of all of these rectangles, or these squares actually. And I did the same thing up here. Now I noticed that I have something a little bit off here with the size of this square and the size of this square. This one's a little bit too small and this one's actually a little bit too big. So my line was a little high. It's so far back that there's a little bit of a discrepancy, but I'm not going to worry about that. To draw these vertical lines in, I basically took these horizontal lines, and when they came to hit this corner here, I basically drew them up. I measured twice, so I measured how far, for instance, to draw this line, I measured how far this corner was from here. I duplicated that distance up here. You can see my measurement marks for setting these up. I'm going to do the same thing to draw verticals in here. And once I have that done, I'm going to be at a point where I can finally, all this work, it's pretty tedious. Getting to here means I'll be now ready to kind of invent inside the space. Okay, so I'm going to measure out this distance from this vertical line that I set up originally out to right here, where this line and this line cross. It's actually a little bit further over. And I'm going to just duplicate that distance. And one of the things I'm finding with this acrylic ruler is I can literally, I'm not sure if you can see it, but I can literally draw on the ruler, and I'm sure this is not going to show, but it will hold a little pencil mark, and so that distance is 5 inches and about a 1/16, and this ruler doesn't mark 16ths, it goes, I'm sorry, a 32nd. This ruler marks 16ths, so that just helps me remember where that spot's going to be. So I'm going to go up here, carefully line up my ruler, make sure I'm exactly lined up on that 10-inch mark, and then that 5 inches and a 32nd distance is going to be right to here. So I'm going to run through this pretty quickly. Okay, I want to get a few more orthogonals in over here because I think it's going to actually help push that space out to see maybe 3 more over here. Okay. So I want to set up more orthogonals here running back to my vanishing point. Now normally I'm measuring 2 inches across. Every 2 inches out on the bottom. I extended this earlier, and you may not be seeing this far section here, but I measured this earlier. But what you're seeing is wherever this diagonal line meets one of these horizontal lines, if I have the diagonal measuring line drawn in, that they meet there. So this next diagonal that I want to, this next orthogonal that I want to draw in is going to actually cross here and cross here and cross here at these points where these lines cross. So I don't need to measure another 2 inches out on the left. I actually have the system for drawing it in already. So I'm going to draw in some more of these orthogonals. I'm dropping the ruler down for a second to check, but those look pretty good to me. That looks, the size of that looks pretty good. These things, these cross points might not be lining up exactly, but they're very, very close. So this is so far away at this point that it's okay if this is, I think it's all right if this is going to be a little bit off. It's very, very, it's very close actually. That's right on, that's right on, that's right on. Okay, that one was a little bit off. I need to move this down. In that last one I didn't leave enough distance width for the lead of my pencil. So I'm just being careful here about that. The drawing is now ready to kind of do something with it. Invent something in this space that conforms to the setup that we have. At this point, there are a lot of different options open to you. I do want you to review some of the one-point perspective images that I've collected for you to think about sort of inspiration or what you might try to do. You could keep it really simple. You know what? I'm going to keep it very simple right now. Let's say we're going to draw a box. We want to just draw a box in this space. Some stacked boxes over here. And let's say that the box is going to be, it's going to fit here. It's going to come up here. It's going to have another vertical here, another vertical here, and another vertical here. Now it does get tedious to draw an exact vertical because you have to make sure that you're drawing it square to the page. And I'm going to be careful about this. I think over here I can use the T-square against the table and I'll be all right. Because I have this alignment very carefully. Now actually the trim on the table is broken right here. So the ruler, you can see the ruler doesn't fit quite right, but over here it does. Okay, I have 4 legs for this. This is going to be a cube, so I'm going to actually make it 2 units tall. Now, how tall do I make it? I want to make it 2 units tall. It's 2 units across. So I slide on over here, and I go up 2 units, and I get to this, now I had one line I had to fix before, so I'm just going to draw this back. I had to erase. So this line has to come up to this height over here to be equal to this distance in height. And actually, since this is not foreshortened, I could just measure this distance and flip it. Kind of imagine a quarter of an arc, quarter of a circle going up. That would give me the top of that. But what this does is you can measure off of here. Now I'm gonna just see, so it's these two, the height for these two is gonna be shorter. The height for these two would, again, we could take it off of that, but what you normally do is you come over to the side over here and you go up 2 units. There's 1, there's 2. The height of those would be, I would pull this across, that would be the height. And actually, once I figure out the height of the front one, the back one is just gonna, I can draw a diagonal back to my vanishing point, and that's gonna be that. Okay, so I'm coming up. You gotta be careful. These lines are the ground lines going behind this kind of wall that's here. So my height for this first cube, my height for my first cube is going to go up to there. Now that comes really close to, I think my pencil mark was just a little bit high. That comes really close. You can actually see it's just a little bit below that. This line back here. So I'm not going to worry about measuring twice in this case. I just make sure it looks square, and I can check it off of that line there. So the top of the front of the box is going to stop right there. Okay, now this distance should be the same as this distance. So I'm carefully lining myself up when I measure that, and it works out just right. Okay, so this is a square. This is 2 units back here, and this is 2 units across. They're the same distance, so I'm going to make a cubic square. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a diagonal. I'm not going to draw it all the way back to the vanishing point, but it's going to be a line that's running towards the vanishing point, and I'm going to think about where it would end. It's going to be about here. So this line here, which is buried by the ruler, is coming up, so that I've got an angle running towards the vanishing point. I'm going to extend it a little bit beyond there. This is going to come up and hit that. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to draw, this line that I drew here is the front edge to the top edge of the cube. Now I'm only going to draw as far as this, extending this line up. So that's somewhere in this area. Okay, the bottom of the cube is here. The front edge of the cube is here. Now there's a lot of lines in here. I'm drawing these ones a little bit darker though. They might not be standing out yet. All right, so I have to extend these lines up. Now it looks like my diagonal line was just a little bit short. Okay, the corner is there. And this one was a little short too, but that's okay. I'm going to make a horizontal line. I can extend this out. Now these aren't lining up perfectly, but it's very, very close. So I feel okay about that. All right, so there's my cube. Right now it's good when you're drawing something that you're going to invent in this space. You don't want to put something right in front of, you don't want to put a big thing right in front of the vanishing point. You don't necessarily want to, in lots of sort of amateur drawings of this, you see people trying to make the road go all the way back to the vanishing point, but that doesn't make sense. Getting things get all the way to the vanishing point. So sometimes I would suggest have something in the background that's actually covering over the vanishing point so we don't actually see it. So we're not kind of tempted to go all the way there. But if you can see this cube, I have 3 planes that would be visible. Unless the cube were open, then I would have 5 or 6. Well, this front plane we wouldn't see. We'd see the floor, the ground, this inside of the wall, the back, this side plane, the top. So, I don't know, you can kind of say we see through this one. What I'm saying here is that it's good if you want to show a form is to make sure that you're not showing it just frontally. If you can show 3 planes, 3 main planes, rather than 2, that's better. Right now I have 3, this side plane, this top plane, and this plane here. Now if I want to do something, I want to modify this box, I could pull this edge forward and make it connect here. Do the same thing here, pull it forward, make it connect here. And I'd have this inclined plane. Why not? I can also draw a hole. If I wanted to draw a hole, I'll take this idea of the 2x2 square. I'm going to set the hole right here. So to make a hole, I just need 2 verticals. I need a vertical coming down from this corner. Okay, this again is going to be a 2 unit by 2 unit square. So I need a vertical line coming down. I need a vertical line going down. I'm going to see a thin bit of a side plane here. I'm going to see the back plane. I'm going to see a larger side plane on this side. Okay, I'm making a T shape right there, even though this line is darker. I mean, this kind of looks like just a right triangle here, but this is going to be going behind. I'm going to darken up this edge here, and I could erase out this cross, and this is going to be looking more like a pit. See how thin that is? I'm just darkening these edges to pull it out. Okay, I'm trying to make it stand out from the grid a little bit. Okay, it's not the most convincing pit I've ever seen in my life, but it's a start. We could put a window, we could put a door, we could put a column on the side. I think I'm going to make a column in the back that goes up here, and I'm going to extend the column out and have it come down and hit the floor over here. So, what if the column is right here, sitting in these two squares? I think you can sort of see the start of this column. Now I've got this numbered 1, 2, 3, up to 8. This goes off the paper, but this diagonal is 9. This diagonal is 10. This is 11. This is 12. So right now, this edge of my column is going up to 9 feet. If I make it stop here, it goes up to 8 feet. This is where you have to make sort of artistic or aesthetic decisions about what do you want to see happen. I guess I will go up to 9 feet. Okay, I'm looking at the ruler to see if there's a mark. Actually, it lines up to some other pencil mark I put on there. So I'm going to do a horizontal line that's coming out. And it's going to actually come over to there. So you can start to get a sense of this. When I'm going to draw a vertical line running from here up to here. And then this side plane is going back to the vanishing point. Where this vertical comes up and meets here, then I'll have another going across. Okay, so there's my front plane, it's frontal plane. There's the corner, so I'm just going to draw a line back to my vanishing point to tell me what my angle is. I don't have to think about it. Okay, I started to go pretty far back there, but I don't want to go that far. I could make this wider if I wanted to.